Hey guys, my research presentation is on chapter 6, which is nonverbal communication, and the topic I chose was managing impressions. I'm going to share with you guys my screen so you guys can see the slides. So if you want to follow along in your textbook too, the pages are 177 to 178, and it describes impression management as the way people manage the way others perceive them. So basically, people want to be seen and perceived in a particular way, and they're going to work and ensure that they are leaving that impression on others. And this is really like a major goal of communicating because when you're talking to people, you want to make sure that you're being seen how you want to be seen. And impression management is often done through nonverbal cues. And the three components of impression management, which are mostly those nonverbal cues, include setting, appearance, and manner. And the textbook says that these are things that are deliberately controlled by a person. And these are how we are making and managing our impressions. So I'm going to go through each of those three components for you. The first is setting, and setting is not only where we choose to live, it's also what we choose to be around. So our personal belongings, our house, and our car. So a person's gonna, if it wants to be seen as, wealthy, is gonna buy a really fancy car because they want to be seen in a certain way. The next component is appearance. So it's the way people control or change how they look. So this includes our hair and the way we dress. It's a major thing that people see right away when they look at us, and it can be seen from across the room or someone you know. The third component is manner. Manner is the way we move, the way we behave or hold ourselves, and also the way we speak. So manner can be a nonverbal cue, but also a verbal cue. And it includes our facial expressions, our posture, our eye contact. So if we want to be seen as, or leave the impression that we're very confident, we might have a really certain, like a posture of standing up tall and holding like eye contact. So impressions are also really hard to break. So when you leave, you want to leave a good first impression because a lot of times it can't be changed. Like Dwight for The Office, his first impression of Pam wasn't very good. So even though he really likes working with Pam after, he still couldn't get past that first impression she made. So the article that I'm going to discuss is called The Communicative Value of Tattoos, the Role of Public Self-Consciousness on Tattoo Visibility. This was done by Kathleen Doss and A.B. Hubbard. They conducted the study because they wanted to see if tattoos could be used as a tool of communication. And their research questions for this article were one, if tattoos did hold a communicative value, to what extent does that affect tattoo visibility? And second, what role does public self-consciousness play on tattoo visibility? So does it increase tattoo visibility or decrease tattoo visibility? And I'll break down some of these terms for you guys later on. So the authors chose this topic because they'd seen tattoos studied in like sociology works and psychology and anthropology, but it hadn't really been studied through the lens of communication. So they wanted to see if tattoos could be a way to communicate, and they also wanted to know if they were also like they played a role in impression management. So the participants of this study were tattooed individuals. They got 400, and it was pretty close to 50-50 for men and women. And they averaged around the age of 23. And they included people who had one tattoo or multiple tattoos. So the way they conducted this study was each participant completed a survey, and these surveys measured 4 different things. So they measured communicative value placed on tattoos, which is, does that person believe that tattoos can hold some kind of communicative meaning? They also looked at tattoo visibility. So how present are the tattoos on the body? So they looked at like basically the areas on the body where a person has their tattoo. So like the arm versus the back, something that you can't really see on the back, and it's probably really like visible on the arm. And they also got public self-consciousness. So basically, how heightened is one's awareness of self? And they also looked at evaluation of tattoos. So will others view their tattoos negatively or not? So these last two things they measured, I feel like really tie into impression management. Because if you're going to have a heightened awareness of self, you're going to be really aware of the impression you're leaving on others. And if you're really aware of how others are evaluating them, you're going to really control the impression you're making. So both really go into impression management. So after everybody completed their surveys, the authors concluded that there was an increase in tattoo visibility when people saw tattoos as holding like more communicative value. And they also found that when a negative evaluation was not expected, higher public self-consciousness led to more tattoo visibility, but when a negative evaluation was expected, higher public self-consciousness led to less tattoo visibility. So simply put, when someone saw or believed they were going to be negatively judged for having a tattoo, they were going to be less likely to show off that tattoo. But if a person didn't think they were going to be judged negatively, they were really going to show it off. And this only happens when a person has higher public self-consciousness. So if they're really aware of how others are seeing them or how they're being presented to the world, that's when tattoo visibility was affected. So this is where that impression management thing comes back in again. When a person really wants to be seen in a certain way, and so if they know someone's going to judge them negatively, then they're going to change it. They're going to change how they're being seen. So the authors were able to conclude what they were looking for. They found that tattoos not only hold a communicative value, but they also hold or play some kind of role in impression management. I thought this was really interesting, but something I thought they were kind of missing in their study was maybe looking at people who don't have tattoos to see how they viewed them. Do they see people as having, or tattoos as having some kind of communicative value? Because I don't personally have a tattoo, but I do see them as being a huge part of impression management and like having some kind of communicative value, even though I don't have one. So I feel like this would be a really cool element for them to add to their study. And that's all I have for the research presentation. I hope you guys found some of that interesting, and thank you for listening.